If you are struggling with your money, if you're struggling to make money, or if you're struggling in your job, and to be exact, if you're struggling because you don't enjoy your job and you have never really found the right place, you are educated, you are talented, you are able, you're capable. But up until now, you have been hopping from job to job. You have been in different positions and also all over the place, right? Maybe you've been in corporate, in high positions, in maybe in finance or whatever position, in sales, but then also you worked back in a very low level job, maybe in a service position without any without any condemnation or shame, just to point it out, right? Maybe you're very indecisive. Maybe people have called you indecisive, jumping from here to there, trying new things, always on the hunt, whether it was subconsciously or consciously, on the hunt for something new, something that will fulfill you, something that would be the place where you could apply your talents and also be paid richly, right? Maybe you are also someone who has a business and you're struggling to make money. And I can tell you that all of that, like lack, money problems, scarcity, all of that is rooted in the same thing. And if you know me, if you're new here, welcome. I always speak about codependency, right? We're going to speak about the journey to transform lack, indecision into clarity, into abundance, into wealth consciousness, and how to heal from this state that you're currently in. So, hello, my name is Joanna Fatonji. I am a transformational life coach and I work with a proven, repeatable, reliable system of transformation that has helped me to transform my life 360 degrees and that has also helped thousands of other people all around the world transform their lives. But let's continue to dive into, the topic of scarcity, money, and jumping from one job to the next. And I want to share a little bit of my story because I can relate to that. So, I am the first in my family who went to university. I studied and graduated in international business, and my first job was in corporate finance, international corporate finance. And very, very soon, I realized that's not for me. So 1 year later, I quit. I knew it, I quit. So I don't even say that that was the wrong decision. No, I knew this wasn't the place where I could fulfill my potential. That was the conversation, that was the lingo, that was the words, the narrative that I told myself almost 10, maybe almost 12 years ago now. So I said, yeah, I want to fulfill my potential. I have this higher calling on my life. And that's true. And at the same time, I found myself still repeating the same pattern of then seeking out something new. I then started dancing again because I was on my journey to find my true purpose and my talent and my gift and how I could create a business out of that. So I was on that journey, went into dancing again, play theater. Then I knew, no, there's something entrepreneurial in me. Of course, I studied business for a reason, like it was something that was truly interesting to me. So I went into this business accelerator, these incubators that help you to create a business vision and then also to accelerate into pitching to investors and then founding, right? So that's what I've done. I realized, okay, there's still something more. So I left the accelerator and I went to become a holistic nutritionist. I finished that. And then later, me and my mother, we founded a cafe. Simultaneously, I then enrolled into becoming a life coach. Why I'm saying all of that, because this, everything that I just shared, like from my corporate job to creating the business, the cafe, was maybe only 2 or 3 years. Yeah, maybe from 2015 to 17. Yes. So I was jumping. And again, I'm just inviting you to listen. It's not like based on shame. I want us to feel comfortable and confident about what is going on. Like, why are we jumping so much? And of course, if you don't really root yourself and have the tenacity to actually build something, of course, there's no money coming. Yeah. So I just want to continue and dive deeper with us into what is actually happening. And so for me, I can say that, and I know like now, almost 10 years into being a transformational life coach, studying myself, studying others, but most of all, studying my own patterns, I realized that this journey or this hunt for maybe living in a different country, going to a different job, finding a new career, trying things out, all of that is good and fine because what are we doing? We are soul hungry. That's what I like to say always. We are soul hungry, hungry for more. And it's not because, again, you are not capable of doing what the world suggests to you, but because you know that there is a real you. There is something deeper inside of you that is seeking expression. And yes, today it's going to get a bit more spiritual than usual, but that's what it is. Like, I don't want to water the message down just for someone to digest it, right? Like, if you're here, I believe that you resonate with me, with the title, and I am calling in the people who are ready to hear that. So when you are jumping from here to there, job to job, not really making the kind of money that you desire, even if you can go into corporate sales, make good money and earn like above average, you've never felt fulfilled. Maybe it led to burnout and you're like, no, I can't do it that way. What is happening beneath that is you are looking for your real self. You are looking for the truest version of yourself. You are like your soul is literally calling you to find your true self. That's why everything, even if you have a business or you had a business before and it then crumbled, everything that you touch and everything that you do while not fully being rooted in your true identity, I like to call it your wealth identity, which is also your soul, which is your spirit. That is like everybody is calling it, like the wealth identity, the identity shift. The true identity shift is you becoming one with your soul, with pure awareness, with the light within you, whatever word resonates with you. This is the soul's journey, and this is the journey of awakening. It's about you finding who you truly are, and everything until you integrate that soul through deep transformational work. Everything else will feel heavy, will feel stagnant, will crumble again because it is not built on a solid foundation, and the solid foundation is you, right? You've probably heard that, right? Your life, like your health, your relationship, your businesses, like all of that is going to crumble when you crumble and when you build something on top of a shaky foundation, which is you not being grounded in your true self. But, and now we're going to dive a little deeper, which is another core topic of mine. If you're here, I always speak about that the number one trauma that is the shaky foundation is for most of the people, for most people, and including me, is some kind of childhood wound, childhood trauma, which is rooted in dependency. Because, of course, as children, we are dependent, right? As children, we are dependent. Our survival is dependent on our parents, on our mother as the nurturer and as the father figure, as the protector, right? So we need our parents. We need those, let's call it, these divine energies, the feminine and the masculine, the nurturing, the love, the soothing, the mothering, and also like the aggression, the fighting, the protection, the provision from the divine masculine influence. If we didn't have that, if we didn't have that from birth, and birth is the first traumatic experience, depending on, yeah, how well it went or whatever, it's always a traumatic experience, always, no matter what happened, right? It's for the soul, for this baby coming into this world. Most of the time, it's a traumatic experience. And then the first years, the first year, the first 3 years, the first 6 to 7 years are the most, we are so impressionable. Everything that is going on in the environment with the people influences our nervous system, which is also the word of the century, right? The word of the decade, the word of the year. But that's what it is, right? All of the trauma, all of the instability, all of the, yeah, shakiness is the predisposition, the programming that we received as babies, as children. And from this basis, the subconscious mind, the heart, the nervous system, this feeling of not feeling safe, not feeling loved and nourished, maybe not feeling soothed by our mother when we were crying, or just generally her being there in the most important moments of our lives, right? And also maybe not having this masculine figure, the boundaries, the protection, the provision, right? You see, like both of these energies, the feminine and the masculine, the mother and the father, if we didn't fully have that, and most of us, we haven't had that, even if we had both parents in the house, right? We want to understand that we all more or less have this wound, which is codependency, right? And we don't heal that when we don't fully understand that as a child we needed other people to survive. We still do, but not by all means necessary. So what actually happens, to stay with the analogy of the foundation? You grow into this society, and then you go to school, you go to university, you find your first job, and then you want to, of course, also, you have this desire to maybe, yeah, put your real talents, right? You want to feel fulfilled, and feeling fulfilled is about fully being rooted and grounded in your authentic self, in your natural state. And I believe 100% that every one of us has a talent, a natural talent, and natural gift that is so natural to us that we don't necessarily even see it as something special. Yeah. So all of us, we have that. And I believe that that is your wealthiest identity. It's not about struggle. It's not about efforting so much. It's about finding that talent, which is rooted in your wealth identity, which is rooted in your healed inner child, which is rooted in being whole, integrating both the feminine and the masculine by, there's another word here, by reparenting yourself, right? Because when we realize we didn't get what we truly needed from our mother, now it becomes the time to seek help. And I really want to say that very clearly. Listening to content and just listening and just listening and being soothed maybe by someone else's voice, by listening to podcasts, that is not going to transform you. The easiest way to truly change your life 360 degrees is to invest in a mentor, someone who's working with a proven system that integrates therapy, neuroscience, and transformation. That is what I believe 10 toes down 100%. Yet, in order to get to that point, you first have to acknowledge, and that's what I also always like to say, you have to acknowledge that you have this wounded child, that you have a codependency issue, which leads to this anxious or avoidant attachment style. You've probably heard about that too, right? What it basically is that it's the psyche of an immature child that needs their parents to survive. And now you're hanging on to the straws that life give you. This is how you end up in toxic relationships, right? Like either you are the one like anxiously attached, grabbing on to something because you need that life force energy, you need that love that you should have gotten from your mother. You need that love, but it's subconsciously you're looking for love, you're looking for energy. And that's why I also say that people, even if you're attracted to my content, and many people always listen to this, yeah, narcissist, and I'm the victim or I'm the empath. I realize on my own journey that even though I consider myself an empath or I consider myself highly empathic, highly intuitive, I was a covert narcissist in one encounter. Because what does a covert narcissist do? They also look for supply. They also look for the love, right? You're looking for the love in someone else. You're looking for the love in the narcissist. But what does that make you? Like you are also wanting to be in a relationship with somebody where you can like suck them dry, where you are going to take from them, right? Yes, of course, a healthy relationship is give and take, but it can only become healthy when you are conscious of your needs. And one of the needs is love, right? Feeling that we can even break that down even further. What is it what you truly love? What people need and want and need, like really need, is to be seen, to be heard, right? That is what your soul, your true self desires, is to be seen, is to be heard, and is to be seen and heard with your truth, not by performing, not by acting, not by having on a mask, but truly being seen and heard in all facets. And I always like to say that, especially like when we grow up, what should have been perfect or would have been perfect is that our mother or our parents are able to hold the full scale of us, which is sadness, like crying and being in pain and in anger and in frustration without walking away and leaving us, right? Because this is exactly what happens today when we are in this codependent pattern, when we are walking on eggshells with everybody. Like you do not have healthy relationships. We're still talking about money. We're still talking about employers. We're still talking about you jumping from one job to the next. The same pattern is manifested in in the work life, but also in the relationship life, because work is relationship, right? So when you are codependent and you feel like you never had the space or you didn't feel safe to express your pain, your hurt, your anger, your frustration with your parents because they were short-tempered and they couldn't hold the space, meaning just look at you and give you a hug or just be present with you, see you, witness you while you're going through releasing emotions, which is very natural and very healthy, right? We want to reintegrate that. But many times, and that's the same shaky foundation. We don't have healthy relationships if we are not able to express our pain and our fear, our frustration, our anger, right? Because we are afraid that it's going to be too much. That's it. Like we are afraid it's going to be too much of these heavy emotions, and then that person will run away again. Maybe like your mother or you're like your father, like other relationships in society, right? So down here are the heavy, heavy emotions, which we want to be seen in as well. And also up here is the celebration, being seen, being heard, being supported, being celebrated in our greatness, right? We want the full spectrum, right? Somebody to witness us when we are crying and when we are frustrated, and somebody who wants to witness us and celebrates us and mirrors us when we are succeeding, celebrating, doing the things and really, yeah, celebrating and succeeding. Like we need both. That is what our soul needs, right? That is what we need in relationship, and that is also the spectrum that you want to integrate so you can be this whole healed from codependency. Yeah. But let's dive into the complexity here a little bit more, right? Because as long as you are in this childlike mind of thinking that you need your mother or you need your father for nourishment, for survival, for food, right? For what it is, for supply in order to live, you will, even if it's no longer with your mother, but sometimes it is still with your mother, right? Because many people recreate or never get out of the loop with their own parents. But sometimes maybe the mother's out of the picture or the father's out of the picture. And then this starts with you attaching yourself to a man with this complex of like the daddy issue, right? Thinking that he can hold you, see you in your pain, in your anger, in your frustration, and also celebrate you and worship you, right? The same thing with female friendships, right? Also, maybe projecting onto female friendships that they now should fulfill the role of the mother. Again, most of the time, it's subconsciously, it's unconscious from your side what you even need from someone else, what you even need from your female friends or from your male friends or from your lovers, because we didn't have the chance to develop the connection again to the true self. The true self, the healed inner child, is also the true self. Because as children, we are the soul, right? As the children, we are the soul. We are most soulful. But then, yeah, depending on how we grew up, we couldn't express and we didn't get our needs met. And that is childhood trauma that leads to codependency issues, that leads to a feeling of abandonment, right? And that leads to a survival strategy of overgiving, not overperforming, overextending, because now you are fighting for attention. You're fighting to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, but not from your true self, but now from the survival mode, right? Whether it was like trying to get the attention and the love and the validation from your mother or from your father, that leads to yeah, being maybe extremely good in school, or for some others, it's rebellion, right? Rebellion and control, or leave the whole system behind, like leave all control behind, right? Like there's different ways how that unfolds, this codependency. And then it definitely leads to a survival strategy, becoming extremely good in school, becoming a perfectionist, becoming an overgiver, an overachiever, an over explainer, an overextender, right? A people pleaser, like not listening to your own self, your own needs, and not setting boundaries. And that is then recreating everything on shaky ground. I spoke a lot about relationships because, again, a job is the same thing. It's like extended. That if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a job or a position or a business, and you only come to take, right? You only come to take because you are unhealed. You're still operating from that unhealed, childlike, codependent pattern, thinking you need supply. Yes, you need money, right? That's why you go to this job. You're like, okay, I need money. This is what I can offer, but you're predominantly going there as a beggar, as someone who is like coming as the beggar, someone who is coming to take, right? Because like you feel like I need the money, which is rooted in the survival. And again, of course, we need the money, but we want to change and switch up the paradigm. We want to change and switch up the perception here, right? Refocusing and regrounding it back into the true self. This is, I could go on, and I will continue to finish the loop of the narrative of going into the world. But this is what I want to say, that that's exactly where my work comes in. It is not only uncovering the childhood wounds, the codependency, and the survival patterns that emerge from that, the fight, flight, right? Freeze or fawn. The fawning, especially for women, is a heavy survival mechanism. Fawning is people pleasing, but it's also, if I may say, if it's like it's going into the prostitute realm. Fawning is like being sweet and being the nice one and being the damsel in distress, right? And it's being the like the victim a little bit, like, but strategically, like feeling like you're like you need to be rescued, and just looking cute and looking pretty and being harmless, right? That is the fawning. The fighting would even be for women. Many times that's where women are like fighting in corporate, right? Like going into these high level positions, fighting their way through. But then in other relationships, they can't integrate like the boundaries, right? Or the freezing is doing nothing, or the flight is hiding. Right, that's why I speak about all these things again and again, coming back to money. And then I'm going to talk about my program. Is money is the result of all layers of, I believe, personal transformation, which is about connecting to your wealth identity, which is your true self, which is your soul, which is your pure awareness, which is your innocence, which is your childlike desire, right? That you're here and you want to give. You have a lot to give. You have talents. You want to express yourself. That, and then also being able to integrate sovereignty, wholeness, right? You do not need, like, frantically need the supply of other people, because now you become self-sourced. You become the generator of love, which makes you sovereign, which makes you whole. Yeah, this is also a result of reparenting yourself, which I also teach you to do in my program, which is about giving you yourself the things that you truly need, right? Which your child, your inner child needed, right? What did she need? What did he need? Right? And then give that to yourself at the same time. Like it's not only the feminine, right? The nourishment. I could go on and on because this is the root. You will never need anything else if you're ready to actually do the work, right? Instead of wasting more time just listening to people, right? The real work happens when you invest in yourself and learn the real tools, the metacognition, the neuroscience, right? The journaling prompts that will help you to connect to your true self. Right? That is all what's happening in the proven, repeatable system of transformation that I teach. It's a method. It's a method of transformation that has transformed the lives of tens of thousands of people all over the world already, including mine. So, what I want to say is that transforming is about you becoming whole in yourself as your true, authentic self and letting go of the codependency patterns, but learning how to be interdependent, meaning having boundaries, having, sure, your values, what is truly important to you, also with regard of your wounded inner child, with regard of who you truly are and who you have become. What are the values that are truly important to you? But then also having the boundaries, right? But also having the communication skills, being able to negotiate, being able to communicate your needs and your desires and communicating that that's not a fit, right? Having boundaries, clear boundaries, but being able to communicate and see is that a fit or not. And that goes for everything: friendships with women, friendships with men, with lovers, with employers, with business partners. These are the skills. Everything that you learn in my programs will help you become the wealthiest version of yourself from the root up, from feeling amazing in yourself, mental health, nervous system health, physical health, glowing, becoming more beautiful again, youthful. That's all a byproduct. But then also radiating, being attractive, being magnetic, but then also relationships and also making money. Because if you connect to your true self, you are going to connect to your wealthiest version. You are going to learn how to connect to your intuition. You're going to learn how to, I'm thinking about taking you through the 4 phases of the system. All right. So I always like to say, just knowing that you probably have codependency issues, codependency patternings, right? Subconscious codependent survival strategies, right? Meaning that you think that you need others, you need to people please, you need to overshare, overgive, overperform, or you're completely shutting down, hiding. Nobody knows you, nobody knows what you're doing. You are just fully in isolation, which is the other opposite, right? The fighting is the like go, go, go. That's the version of you that is going to get burned out. That's one survival strategy. Then it's the flight, which is hiding, is like going away, not confronting any kind of situation, being in isolation. Then it's the freezing. It's the same, like you're like stuck and you don't take any move forward or back. And then it's the fawning, which is also, again, as I said, like, especially for women, it's like the prostitute putting on a mask, putting on, and not in a good way, right? Like putting on a mask, pretending that you're selling yourself. Literally, that's what it is, right? You're selling yourself. You are giving yourself away just to get a little bit of your needs met, but never fully showing up in your needs and your wants and your needs, what it is, what it requires for you to be in exchange with somebody. And these are the survival strategies. And in the program, The Wealth Architect, which is a 90-day program, again, it is proven, repeatable, reliable, and it is based on more than 40 years of trial and error. It is a connection of ancient wisdom because, as I said, and I'm not going to hold back, my work is getting you from abandonment to self actualization, from abandonment to becoming your divine self, becoming your wealthiest self. That is the whole arc, right? From self abandonment to now you're here and you're probably looking for solutions. And I am the sage. I am the teacher, and I want to teach you how to create the life of your dreams with the Wealth Architect. And in that program, you have four phases. The first phase is the blueprinting phase, where you actually get the space to now feel safe, to open up, get out of survival mode and get into creation mode, because always just doing, running, hiding, being in an isolation, it doesn't get you anywhere. So what happens in the first phase is you get this space, which is a sacred space. My work is sacred. I always like to say it's a temple space. My membership is called the sanctuary. That's exactly what it is, right? So you come into the sanctuary and you get into the first week. The first week is all about helping you vision, right? Getting out of survival mode is getting into the prefrontal cortex, into the mind, into the brain, which helps you to think creatively, right? In survival mode, you don't think creatively. You are literally surviving. But now I am going to invite you into a space, into this program, which is going to help you open up and activate your visioning mind, the mind that can see, imagine what it is that you truly want for your life, full spectrum. Then it is about asking you questions if this is truly what you want. Like I love it. Like that is the methodology that I use. Evocative questions. Evocative questions means I am not telling you what to do. I am telling you, or I am asking you. And through this asking, I evoke inside of you the answers. And that is it. Like, what would you love? Is this in alignment with your core values? Do you have to grow, right? Do you have to grow? Is there anything good in it for others, what you want, right? Questions like that to just test if it's worth committing to that dream that comes up in that process. Then we will work on your self-worth, on your self-image, and switch that up, ground it into your true identity. In the second phase, it's about forgiveness, right? Again, it's like unearthing yourself, right? Imagine that your true self, you have been buried. You have been buried. You have been swimming in your subconscious patternings. You have been swimming in the sea of the unconscious. You probably know this picture of the iceberg, right? Everybody knows that the iceberg, 5% is above water, 95% is below water. You have been below water, right? That is the subconscious programming. That is all of the patterns from our parents and our society and our religion, and especially our childhood patterns and how you recreated them in your adult life. And now I'm helping you to come into the 5% with this program and beyond. And then get up to the 1%. Okay? That's the arc from from childhood wound of abandonment to then self-actualization. What happens in the second phase is you get from like forgiving yourself, forgiving others, forgiving your parents, because even though whatever happened, maybe grief is coming up, and that's fine. We are going to work through all of that. And that's why I say it's important to be there live with me. I'm going to support you with everything I know to do, especially the emotional release, right? Like forgiving, all of the emotions are going to come up to be released, then forgiving, again, forgiving others. And then also to reignite the fire. I always like to say to reignite the fire of your soul by starting to get into a new groove, start to feel that you are actually, you have something to give. I know that. I know that 100%. I know that you have something to give, and you know that too. So we are going to tap into that and learn how to activate this new circulation, right? You have something to give. And then the next phase three, is about skill development. I always like to say, maybe you've heard that in my content, I always say that my work is based on neuroscience, skill development, social psychology, and wealth consciousness. And even more, but let's keep it small. I don't want to overload you. So the next phase that is coming up is skill development, is learning to form a partner of believing. And I suggest that you find somebody inside the circle, inside the wealth architect, other people who are deliberately on that journey of transformation, and to have a system of support alongside our system of support. Then it's also about learning to repattern the mind to learn how to think solution oriented. Because again, when we are in survival mode, when we are in our childhood trauma, we can be in fantasy thinking a lot. That's why I'm not a big fan of the Delulu thing, which is partly correct, but it always has to come from a healed perspective. So the childlike brain fantasizes a lot, right? The traumatized brain fantasizes a lot and never really takes action. That is the thing about like the childlike thing. Then we also don't want to go into overdrive again, which is the fighting, right? The survival strategy. But we want to learn how to ask better questions that will put our brain into solution orientation. Because I always like to say our brain is like AI, and it's so important that we continue to use our brain in the times of AI. That's why all of my content is from my mind. Okay. I just want to say that because I make it a point. I'm not against AI, not at all. Just a little side quest here. But while I'm speaking, I hope you understand like how important it is to train the mind, to train the brain, to train the nervous system to actually find solutions inside our mind and to bring them out into the world. This is true integration. This creates a solid mental health. All right. So we learn to ask these questions. You learn to ask these questions to find the solution, to see them. You've probably heard that before. Like if I tell you to focus on red cars, focus on red cars, focus on red cars, you're probably going to see a red car today or tomorrow, whenever you watch this. Right? Focus on it. This is where the prefrontal cortex comes in. Like what we focus on in the mind, in the eye of the mind. Now we've told our mind to find the red car. And our brain is going to scan exactly for what we tell it to scan. So this is how we use the mind, like literally learning to use the brain because it is a tool. It is a tool for our true self to create the life that we truly desire. That is going to happen in phase 3. And then in phase 4, again, you are going to get another framework of the 4 areas of consciousness, the 4 levels of consciousness. I always like to say it's very important to find ourselves in that, because the first level is the victim consciousness, where most of humanity is in some shape or form, right? Which is the wounded child, because the wounded child, or the child in itself, is a victim, because a child needs their parents to survive. And that is a very, very special thing in the animal kingdom, right? Because children, human children, need a long time to become independent. So we need those 7 years and even longer to survive in the wild, right? So we are very dependent on our human parents for a long time. And to get out of victim mode is to be initiated into the next level, which is then, when everything went perfectly, it would be the next level of adolescence, taking up more responsibility and being in the state of experiencing yourself as, if I do this, something happens, right? This is when we get into this fight mode. And when we're like, I can't do it, like I'm the only one who can do it. And that's also a lot of leaders and business owners, like where they don't learn to delegate. Okay, just to intersect the professional conversation here again, right? Where we are like, okay, now I can do this, is hyper independence. Hyper independence. Okay. So the next phase of consciousness is the through me, which is more again of a feminine energy. This is why my business is called Healing into Femininity, because I am a gateway out of survival mode into the next dimension, where you're now able to be in creation mode, where you are again connected to life, where you are reconnected to yourself, where you are reconnected to your soul, where you are reconnected to your intuition, where you are reconnected to your nervous system, where you are reconnected to your voice, where you are reconnected to being able to feel your needs and to put up your healthy boundaries. Okay. So that is the next level. And then the 4th level of consciousness is integration, full integration. It's also called divine union. And it's the feminine and the masculine being able to dance together as me. It's called as me, where you feel, and as I said, that is self actualization, where you feel like you who you are is embodying your body, and you are one with your soul. Okay? That is the end goal. And this is the millionaire, the next level, multimillionaire level. As I said, I'm going to take you out of the 95%, and I'm going to get you into the 5%. And then we work our way up to get you to the 1%. Okay? That is what we are doing. And the entry point is the wealth architect, the 4 phases as I just described them. And it's about getting you, training you. It's, as I said, a neuroscientifically designed program where you get all the tools to rewire your mind, to think creatively, to think proactively, to emotionally release. It's literally a program designed to heal and to become, to embody your most authentic, sovereign self, where you are whole, where you are sovereign, where you have agency, where you feel your needs and your desires, where you can speak up for yourself, where you have healthy boundaries, and you're able to ask for what it is that you need, and you're also able to say no when it doesn't align with who you are, with your values, with your needs. That is the wealth architect. Okay. So to just like end the arc, I know we started with scarcity, lack, this jumping to get something, right? Jumping to get something, jumping to have your needs met by the different places of work, by the different positions, by the different jobs, by the different companies, right? You're able to jump from here to there, always looking for something, always looking for fulfillment, right? But you will not find it nowhere if you haven't done the work that we do in the Wealth Architect, which is to go down to the root and then to transform. I always like to highlight that just listening and identifying that maybe, yes, I am codependent is not enough. This is not the transformation. The transformation happens through a course of action. And as I said, the program that I work with is proven, repeatable, reliable, and it has helped tangibly make help people all around the world make more money, have better relationships, feel better in their skin, have a fulfilling creative expression or career. Everything is waiting for you on the other side. And I say it's not only doing this one time, 90 days, but that's the start. You will have access to this program for the rest of your life. That's what I want, right? For the next at least 10 years, right? Like definitely so you can go through it again and again, right? At least I suggest the first year that you have it to go through it at least 3 times. It's 90 days, so it's every season. And actually, it's not hard, right? You listen to audios, which are binaural beats, right? Which are meant to soothe and be easily digestible, but still activate your subconscious mind. You have journaling prompts that are designed to uproot the real patterns so you can see your own patterns and then break them through the neuroscientific methods that I teach you. And you have also meditations and the meditation transcript. You're well equipped. Not too much, very important. It's not too much. It's no information overload. No, it's just so beautifully designed. And then it opens you up to open up, open up, open up. Yeah. And to reintegrate that into your life. So it's going to change your life. And the next cohort of the Wealth Architect starts on the 15th of July. And I'm looking forward to your application. You find the link down below in the description box. And it is my honor and my privilege to be the guide on your transformational journey. Yeah. It works if you work it. You will see results if you do the practices. Okay. That is where the work is. So if you have any questions, you can write me. You can also enter my sanctuary. The first entry is free. You already get resources inside of the sanctuary in a worth of 1,500 euro. You get to listen to the intention audios, meditations, so you can get a feel for the work that we do. It's free. So check it out in the sanctuary, get a feel for it. And again, if you feel like your life is worth to be taking to the next level because there is so much more goodness waiting for you. And if you feel like you're worthy, because you have to feel that you are worthy to get the support. If you feel like you're worthy to get the support, my support, the support of the system, which is designed by my mentor, right? The system is designed by experts in the field who have been in the field for over 50 years. Cutting edge science, ancient wisdom. It works. Trust me. And it will serve you for the rest of your life. So if you feel like you deserve it, enroll. Again, if you have more questions, text me, write me an email, get into the sanctuary, enjoy the free materials, get comfortable, and let's talk. Let's take action. And I'm looking forward to see you discover that you are a force of nature. And I'm looking forward to see you act like it. Until then, bye.